The name of the course is the Fiscal Emergency, Puerto Rico's Government Response and Its Implications. We're going to study, or we're going to discuss, the economic crisis of Puerto Rico, the recent economic crisis, starting with the budget deficits, the structural deficit of the government, the revenue shortfalls, and the practice of financing the budget through short-term debt and bonds, not for infrastructure or capital improvements, but for paying the operating expenses of the government. We're also going to discuss the actions that have been taken by the government, the Energy Reform Act, or Law 57, the Public Agency Spending and Controls Act, Law 66, the Puerto Rico Public Debt and Enforcement Act, Law 71, and other measures taken by the government of Puerto Rico, including PRASA, the Water Power Authority, the Water Authority rate increases, the privatization of the Ports Authority, the Luis Muñoz Marin Airport, the Transportation Authority split up, and tax increases. Also, we're going to discuss what the bondholders and the investors' reaction has been to all this legislation, this recent legislation in Puerto Rico. The two suits, the two litigations that are filed in federal court by Franklin Funds and Oppenheimer, the credit agencies, the evaluation to junk bond status of the Puerto Rico bonds, including general obligation bonds, including government development bonds, COFINAS, and many other agencies like PREPA, the Power Authority. We're also going to talk about the bondholders' agreement, the moratorium, which has been called in the case of PREPA, which is still ongoing, and the appointment of the restructuring officer for the Power Authority. There are also studies being conducted about energy in Puerto Rico that are in process. New things are also going on, government plans, tax reform that's beginning to be discussed to shift the tax basis to a consumer-type value-added tax mechanism. And the government of Puerto Rico, the continuous efforts of the government of Puerto Rico to go to market and sell the bonds in market. Of course, this is tied into new lending formulas like higher rates, the jurisdiction in New York at district courts, and the constitutional guarantees that are now being requested by the lenders, which were not requested before. What has not been done will also be discussed. Things that the government hasn't done yet is privatize. Things that the government hasn't done is lower government payroll, energy reform, which is still the talking stage, and attempts to get away from fossil fuel in the case of PREPA. The retirement system reform is still, has not still been done, and GDP is Government Development Bank needs to be recapitalized. Rate increases are not being discussed. So these are the things that we will cover in the course, which is entitled Fiscal Emergency, Puerto Rico Government's Response and Its Implications.